that hard work ethic, unfortunately, maybe it has been lost in the new generations. Businesses take time, businesses take time to evolve, and many years. We're talking this in 30 minutes. In order to pay the rent, you have to have that many jobs. It's not necessarily that we wanted it.
Welcome to the 200% Life podcast. I'm your host, Yuri Gomez, and as always, we have now our producer, Lele. How you doing today?
Doing well. Thank you.
Doing well. And our sound engineer, Ater. How's it going, Ater?
Pretty good.
the director of all sounds and music and little funny sounds and everything, as you know, we're always here. But as always, please rate, subscribe, like, and comment, share, put it on your TVs. It's the new year. It is time to get your inspiration on. Binge season 1, but now we're in season 2, and we're loving it. But I want to bring today, obviously, a guest that is very, very special to my heart. But I want to ask you a question. If you have siblings, how has it been growing up now in adulthood? Maybe if you're in the 20s and your 30s and your 40s. How was it growing up? The fights, maybe the disagreements, the pranks you played on each other. I don't know. I mean, you have siblings, right, Leia?
I do too. Older brothers.
And they're what? They're boys. So they're
yes. They hit me a lot.
They hit you a lot. All right, yes. Perfect. In Brazil, right? And Ater?
No, I'm only child.
Only child. Okay, yeah. So you don't know what it is, right? So probably some of your friends, did some pranks on you, right? Yeah. But it's very important, when it comes to family, what it is to grow up with siblings. And I was very fortunate. I'm the youngest of 3. Are you the youngest, Lily?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we always got the last bit of everything.
The
leftovers and everything. But you know what? Siblings, it is a blessing. And for me, it has been a blessing. And now to actually come into a portion, if you guys don't know, but, I am in business with family. And my brother is in business with me. So today I want to introduce my brother, who has been with me in this journey of business for over 20 years, joined in business for 17. Doing lots of things together for a long time, and technically seeing each other for 5 days a week sometimes here in the office. But let's introduce today, the man, the real estate entrepreneur. Do follow him on all his platforms, Mr. Yuri Gomez.
Thank you
How's it
very
going?
much. Awesome. We obviously, it's 200%, so we gotta say cheers with Glenlivet, is it?
Glenlivet on the rocks.
Cheers to everybody. Hopefully you have a drink as well in your hands. But yes, thank you for the introduction. My name is Yuri Gomez, like he says, the real estate entrepreneur. That's kind of how they know me when I talk in my platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. Do follow him. He's on Instagram, TikTok. I don't know where else. Where
everywhere.
Absolutely. We're probably putting it out on the screen right there, so it's all good. So follow him, absolutely. And lots of inspiration, lots of motivation. That's how we live, and it's been great. So, but let's take it back. I mean, we've been, obviously in our lives for 41 years almost.
Since you were born.
Since I was born. I am the youngest. We do have a middle brother. His name is Joel. And, he's in Denver right now. We've always stayed in Florida. He's in Denver, Colorado. He has his family over there. Technically not in sales either. He doesn't like sales. He's more of like that, bookworm, engineer. But we're in sales. And we've been in sales for a lot, over almost going on 20 years. Yep. And but growing up together, it's definitely grew. I always looked at him for like shelter, to make sure that maybe the middle brother didn't beat me up, stuff like that. But he was always the ones when we got here to the States, taking us to school and everything. But we grew up 7 years of my life in Peru. And then we came into the United States. So, how was that? That changed. So immigrants, 7 years old. You came when you were?
I was 17.
Yep.
So, first of all, even though the camera made, I know that I look younger, but we have, how much of a difference?
12 years.
12 years difference. So imagine when I came to the United States, I came first after 2 years of law school from Peru. and to bring my parents and to bring my brothers. I was 17, so you were
We came in 1989. I think you came 1 year
86.
early. 86. So you're 86. You were 3 years here in the United States, and then we took. You're testing it out with I think my mom, and then my mom came back, brought us all 3 years later in '89. So I was 7 when I came in 1989.
Right.
So you were 19, pretty much. No, 19.
And by the time that Jeremy and Joel came in, which are the little ones of the house, I was already basically working 2 jobs. I was delivering pizza. I was cleaning offices. I was working in the Salvation Army. I was doing whatever I had to do. So unfortunately, when you came, we didn't have much of a family, let's say, quality time, because as you guys
it was
know,
work.
When you
it
come
was
to
work.
the United States, it was working, and we were in the process of bringing my parents.
Yeah.
And then they started working.
Yeah.
So it was a big a change, right, on how that was, and I was alone here for a couple years before my mom came, until I was able to bring my parents and Jeremy and Joel. Yeah.
No, so I mean, think of this: in the '80s, late '80s, immigrants, not knowing English, not knowing anybody, just came here because we love Disney World. I think that's how it was, right? That's what we knew Orlando, and stayed in Orlando. But again, taking the reason that my dad and my parents came is because a lot of terrorism in Peru around that time. They wanted better lives for us, a better future, and that's what it was. So immigrants from zero. Cleaning offices, right? Delivering pizzas.
Yeah, delivering pizzas,
cleaning offices.
I did everything, basically. Everything at the beginning, everything that I could do that didn't require English. So delivering pizzas is like, here's a box. I worked actually as a busboy in a Chinese restaurant. That's how That's on a really good restaurant that doesn't exist anymore in International Drive, Main Court. Then now it's they bought it. Now they made a 7-Eleven on it, anyway, or a Walgreens or something. And so I learned English actually with the Chinese people. It was just kind of crazy, but
learning English with Chinese people.
Yeah,
I love it.
And then we would take you to school. I would go to work. My parents. Then I would finish my first job, come back. Keep you home with Joel, and then my mom and I and my dad will go and clean about 10 floors of an office building from like 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. every day, until we were able to do something else. But that was like at least 3 years or so. 3 years.
I mean, that blood, sweat, and tears. Definitely, we're very, very grateful for our parents. My dad, God rest his soul in heaven, brought us for a better place, but had to work. There's nothing else to do but to work when you come to this country. If you don't know English, you got to work, right? Obviously, we have the Brazilian crowd here, but you guys are both immigrants as well, right? Full of work.
Yeah. So I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
How would you explain, because I know a lot of people, they criticize a lot on social media, like when we talk about working so hard when you get to the US. How would you explain to someone that doesn't live in America, and they criticize these people that are doing like 3-4 jobs every day to survive, and then they criticize saying like, that's not life, why are you doing that? You don't need 4 jobs to do it, right? How would you explain the life coming to America as an immigrant?
Of course. So when you first come, I think that, you don't have as much, let's say, experience or expertise on what you can maybe create or work that could make you enough money to work less hours, right? So when you start and you're doing busboy and you're doing pizzas, in order to pay the rent, you have to have that many jobs. It's not necessarily that we wanted it, but we had to, have that many jobs. And obviously you have to have a purpose. The goal was not to come here and work that much, but that's what we had to do. And a lot of, Hispanic people, Brazilians, confront that reality when they get here. Actually, that was my reality as well, because when I came, believe it or not, I came with 1 year of law school. And the plan was for me to be a lawyer.
Yep.
Which I didn't have to then work, let's say, delivering pizzas or whatever. But in 1986, when I came, none of the colleges took any credits from South America. So I either had to start from zero or go to work, and I had to go to work to bring my parents. So the goal was to bring the parents, to bring the kids, to have everybody together. And then after that is when we started evolving. Then I learned English. Then I got a telemarketing job. Then I opened my own business. And that is a beautiful thing about America, that even though at the beginning you need to work so hard, you can and you have the opportunity to create your own business and your own wealth, just like you guys that now have a business, but it's taking work. And so I didn't get to be a lawyer. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I could, go back. I would love to
This
do
is
that.
another, right?
But,
Another avenue.
I just don't have the time to go back to college now. But, but I was able to then open my business, which was the first cell phone store after working for AT&T, et cetera, for many years, telemarketing. And then I was able to, my second store, to give as a gift to my parents for them to have a store and get out of cleaning offices. And then once Jeremy was old enough, he was actually my first franchisee, and I helped him to get his first store, and then he grew to three stores. And then when we sold it all together before starting real estate. So as you see, it's a really good question, but the progression of working so hard was what was able for us to be able to grow and continue to realize what we wanted to long term.
And as kids, I think I mean kid because he was already going in his 20s, but as kids going in, me and my brother Joel, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, seeing that, because we would literally come home from school, like leave to school or drop off to school, get back home from school, and we wouldn't see them until probably midnight that night. Midnight, sometimes 1, 2 in the morning, coming into the house, and we were half asleep. So we were kind of taking care of ourselves. We had a babysitter for probably the first 2 years. And I think after 10 years old, my mom just said, you guys are staying home by yourselves. Here's the food. Here's the TV dinners. Do your homework, and we'll be back. But they were working all throughout that time. It was definitely I remember, like if it was yesterday, we've always lived in Central Florida. We were in Kissimmee, I think. That was the first one.
We were
in a villa in Buenaventura Lakes, who are locals.
Right in Osceola Parkway.
And then I think we went to Sky Lake South, which is right there by Waterbridge.
No, first we went to Castleberry.
To a fully furnished house. I remember fully furnished house. Now being in real estate, it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I remember the Golden Girl furniture in that house. The Golden Girls furniture.
I don't remember the furniture, but I remember
it was, and who knows? I don't even remember the address. But yeah, we went to Castleberry, I think, for a year.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the Sky Lake South area.
Yeah.
I think, but then you got married.
Then I got married. So I was able to buy my first home.
Yeah.
In South Chase.
94.
Oof, I don't remember.
1994. Yeah, 94. We were like, my parents bought a house. You bought a house. We were just like right next to each other.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. First home for a stellar price of, I think it was $81,000 in South Chase. Those houses now are probably over $400,000. Back, it was back in the 90s. But I still remember that hard work ethic that my parents and my brother had. Obviously then he got married and went into the professional world, the corporate America, which we'll talk about in 1 second. But I do remember that hard work ethic of working, like you were saying, just 2-3 jobs and getting, leaving in the morning and not coming home till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, which was crazy. You know what I mean? And I do remember though, back then, we're talking about so much money coming in. I don't know what the wage was. What was the wage? You remember in the 90s or in the late 80s, 90s?
$3.50, $4.
For busboy?
$4 an hour.
For busboy? And what about for the cleaning?
For the cleaning, I think so. My dad, he would be the one that got paid. I wasn't even getting paid. I was just obviously helping them. But my dad was the one that was getting paid, and he got paid per floor. So
per floor,
not per hour. So it was a floor. So if you took an hour or 7 hours to do the floor, that's your problem.
Per floor, and it was like 10 floors.
And we did 10 floors, and each floor had like 6 toilets
every day.
So 6 times 10, 60 toilets. My mom will clean, plus the kitchens, and my dad and I would vacuum, pick up the garbage, clean the ashtrays, dust the desk, and all of that.
Now that was
Monday through Friday.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just doing some math. I mean, if it was per floor, I don't think they paid $100 a floor. It was probably like $50 a floor, maybe.
It was something like, I think it was, I think it was like 200 or 150 per floor a month.
Oh, a month?
A month? Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's do some quick math, and you can put the math right on the screen if you want. But okay, so this is some quick math. So it's, let's say 150 per floor a month times 10. That's $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
A month. Okay, of course there's inflation, right? Is that right? Is that the math right? Okay, that's the math right.
We're
okay.
talking 20 plus.
In the late 80s, 89, 90, 91.
Yeah.
So we're talking about $1,500 a month to clean every night, because you have to wait until the professionals left the building at 5:30, 5 o'clock, kind of like how we are now. We're the professionals, right? And then, getting there at 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then cleaning those 10 floors, for until like midnight. So that's insane. That's why the two jobs. That's why the two jobs
that I had to do pizza and everything else, because the rent, even though it was cheaper over there back then, it probably was $700.
Oh my God, that's insane.
$700-800 a rent for a house, and we had to eat, and we had to have insurance, and we had to have, So yeah, it was tough times, but we always. In the same way, this is a funny thing actually that you say, that we've never had this type of conversation. The same way that you saw me and my mom and my dad when I was young, when I was my 10, 11, I also saw my mom and my dad working the same.
Wow,
and
that's crazy.
And my mom had a store in the house, and she would go and do the. We had a big house, and back in Peru, you could do like a.
It was like a convenience store.
Multiple zoning.
So you have your house, and then you had I guess
a convenience.
There was a convenience store in the corner in the garage. Yeah.
Yeah, but
so that was
big. Yeah, like a little Bravo or something.
Like going into like a 7-Eleven or going to like a pharmacy.
She had that, and she was working, and my dad was always working. So I always saw that, as an example.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. My dad was a big time accountant for one of the biggest furniture chains in Peru, in Lima, Peru, for many years. And we had houses on the beach, houses here, houses there, vacations, to in-house maids, I guess you could say. Is that what you call it?
Maids, yeah.
In-house maids. They lived in the house.
In Peru se dicen las muchachas.
Las muchachas. 7 days a week to take care of us, because we were little, cook, clean, and everything. I think you have the same in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Same in Brazil, yeah. So very common in the South American countries. All to take all of that and then to come into everything. So
start from zero.
Right. So I know in our TikTok channel, in a podcast, somebody was commenting, is like, oh yeah, you had everything and came here from nothing. Yeah, good luck or whatever. It was something along the lines was saying like, you came with, you probably were rich when you came. And the truth is we weren't. We came in here with what it was over there. Sold everything, brought that here, but here obviously everything was completely different. I remember to this day that McDonald's and Burger King was a luxury. Like we weren't going to McDonald's or Burger King. I wish, because obviously we wanted the little Happy Meals with the toys. And I remember that, my parents said, no, that's too expensive. We can't go to McDonald's or Burger King, And looking at that now as an adult, it's like that's the cheapest food you can get now. It's like the cheapest food after a night at the club. You go. Actually, we did that 2 weeks ago.
For Christmas and for like birthdays, we would go to like Golden Corral, and that would be like, wow.
That's like luxury. That's like, oh Ponderosa. Ponderosa, I think it was.
We're splurging.
Ponderosa, because it was always like that. And just looking at it back now, it just goes back to show the trajectory or the journey of what we've come. So 90s, that in 91 you got married, and
that's amazing you remember that.
1991 October 25th 1991.
Oh my God, that's scary.
I'm very good with photographic memory.
I don't remember that at all.
But I remember that. I remember getting the tux. Like it was the Castleberry house actually. Getting the tux.
Yeah, that I remember.
Getting the tux. Having the wedding, all that. The videographer was nothing like this. He actually had the video, which actually was Joel Pinheiro was your videographer, which is our sales coach now, which he's in Puerto Rico now. But the camera had the video, the VHS tape,
cartridge on it,
and the VHS cartridge. You had to carry it on your shoulder. I remember all that like if it was yesterday, right? And then just heading into I was 12 years old, 11 years old. I don't know how old. Yeah, 11 years old. No, I was 9 years old actually. 9 years old. My brother was 11, and then you were obviously, I don't know how old you were. 91. 21. You were 21.
21, and she was, I think, 19.
19, yeah, similar to what me and Gia were when we got married, and then just kind of taking it, and then here's the journey. For those who don't know, the journey is went from cleaning to offices, right, to him seeing what was it, AT&T Lucent Technology. I don't know what it was. Lucent Technology.
No. At the beginning was AT&T. One of the floors that I was cleaning with my mom and my dad. Was a telemarketing floor with like 400 telemarketers, and I would always be like, "Oh my God, how nice it would be to work during the day with regular clothes." That's like that. Like to me right now is I can't even think what to compare it to, And then one day I talked to the manager when I was cleaning the offices, and I said, "Hey, what do you do to apply?" At that time, I knew English from the Chinese people, and he said, we don't have anybody Spanish here, so you can apply. I applied. Obviously, they didn't take me because I didn't have any telemarketing experience. Talked to the guy again, and he's like, "Dude, they're not gonna hire you because you don't have any telemarketing experience." I said, "Well, what if I work for free? Let me work, a week, 2 weeks for free. If I suck, fire me."
Yeah.
And if I don't, then I sold some. Then it's up to you. And that's how I was able to actually, start working during the day in telemarketing, selling long distance. These were for the people that are 20 years or younger. We used to pay per minute to call people. It was
long distance. So it means if you're in Orlando, Florida, you wanted to call somebody in New York, you had to have
even Miami.
In Miami, you had to have long distance minutes on your landline, and that's what they were selling.
Yeah.
It's insane.
We were selling long distance. We're calling people. How much are you paying to call, Brazil? Oh, $2.50 a minute. Oh, I can get you $2. Okay, change from this carrier to this carrier. That's what we were doing. And that's before cell phones.
It's before cell phones.
And that's how actually I started. And then I was recruited by MCI, which is another long distance company. Yeah, another long distance company. Till then, the cell phone started. And we were calling companies, businesses. And
so if you're watching and if you remember MCI, you just comment and say, "I remember MCI."
You're over 40 years old.
MCI. And then which one was the one with the pin? The pin drop? Was that Old Sprint?
The pin drop.
Like the commercial was that they showed their logo and then the pin dropped. If you know what it is, please comment. I don't know what it was, but that was also long distance. But all those the pin drop. It was a pin drop.
It was AT&T. It was MCI. Jesus.
MCI probably got bought out by somebody. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just so this is the point of the story, or this portion of the story is. Yuri was working in my parents cleaning the buildings and the floors to actually him coming in and working the actual day job of that floor that he was cleaning. So it just goes to show that, sky's the limit. You can't, always ask. If you hadn't talked to that manager that day, you would have never known. Mm-hmm. If he would have said, listen, I'm a little too afraid, or, what is he going to say? You know what, forget it. But he actually went out and said, the manager talking to the janitor, and that's insane. So, and we were taught to always talk with respect to everybody that we see. We have a janitor here in this building that cleans our studio and our offices.
I've been coaching him actually for 3 months already on how to start his company because he does AC.
Yeah.
And I told him my story. I said, dude, I was doing what you were doing.
Right.
And he can't believe it. He's
Venezuelan. Venezuelan.
How do you get from that to this?
Venezuelan.
Venezuelan. Really nice guy.
Yeah, real nice guy.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? It's very, important to do respect whoever it is, and he always comes in and calls me boss, and this is like, I'm your boss, don't worry about it. But just showing compassion to those who are just starting out is very important, because you never know where they're going to be. And I hope that he opens up his own company. I hope that I see him 5 years and he's going in there, and just so kind of like going back to our story, but he's raising, I think, 5 kids. It's just him, and he's doing 2 jobs: construction in the morning.
Same.
Construction from
and cleaning.
5 in the morning until 3 p.m. goes home, takes a shower, and then comes and cleans offices till about 10 o'clock at night here. So again, going back to just circle back to that question, it is hard work, and if you're watching us around the world or hearing us around the world, it is hard work to come in here. But if you make it, you're going to make it. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And I think that, as a parenthesis, because it's a full circle, right? From my parents, me seeing my parents, you seeing us. Now we have kids.
Yep.
And now this new, I think that that hard work ethic, unfortunately, maybe it has been lost in the new generations because of how easy social media has made it to make money. When we were that age, maybe young people that are hearing us right now is like, well, why didn't you just open a TikTok and do some videos and make $10,000 a month?
It was none of that.
That didn't exist at all. So I actually took my kids, before now they're in colleges, and one is in Tampa, one is in LA, in Hollywood, and I took them to do construction work with me. They didn't have to, but I wanted them to see what it is to work, to really work.
Yeah.
And they did it for 3 days. They almost passed out because it was 100 degrees. And they were moving concrete, picking up blocks, and they were like, I never want to do this in my life. And said, well, you see those guys over there, that's what they do for a living. So count your blessings of whatever you have, And now sometimes we hire people that are young, and it's 8 hours of work, and at 4 hours they're like, oh my God, I have a headache, I'm tired, I need 3 breaks a day. It's like, wow, they really haven't done the work that we've done.
No, it's insane, and we won't go too much into that, but during the COVID times, we went through a lot of people that just were spoiled. It's like, I want to work home in my pajamas remotely and don't want to interact with nobody. And that's the human touch. It's just that back to basics, just getting into actually speaking with people, meeting people. This is the beauty of everything. It's awesome. So taking us through the 90s, okay, that we're getting older. Now, professional, you worked in selling MCI, I guess, right? MCI, long distance. How many years? 3-4 years?
About 3 years before I opened my own business,
Then open up entrepreneur, own business. Wait a second. You were hired to do, was it the Spanish-speaking sales? Okay, in MCI.
In MCI, so I started doing Spanish because that was the only Spanish there, and that's why I excel, because there was no Hispanic people calling Hispanic people. So I was calling California, Texas, and so I was selling more than everybody else. That's why I got recruited by another company, and then I got recruited by a company that did long distance but also sold phone systems, and that's why I got into the actual phone systems. Again, a technology of the past. Now basically you have wireless phones that connect between, but back then it was like kind of like what hotels have now, the actual phone systems. And then after that 2 years, then I said, you know what, I want to work for my own now, and I opened my own business in the 3rd bedroom of my house when I closed on that house on Saturday.
Yeah. Home business. So entrepreneur, that was probably 98. 98 or so, 98.
Probably.
Yeah. Can you look up minimum wage in 1991? Minimum wage. I'm just curious. I want to share this with the listeners and the viewers. But yeah, so open up a business, late 90s, writing into it, and then the gem came, right? The actual gem came, and I'm witnessing this as I'm going into now my teens, because I was in 98. In 98, I was 16 already, almost sophomore in high school, seeing all the developments, seeing my brother, going from the professional aspect. Actually, it was great to see, and we're talking about the different transitions, going from seeing him actually cleaning offices and all that to actually now wearing shirt and tie and suit. And I'm like, oh, this is different.
I used to go to the Salvation Army to buy my shirts.
Yeah, oh goodness.
$1 each.
Yeah. $1 each, there you go. But seeing that difference between, just going in sneakers and a t-shirt, or they had to wear their polo shirt. Let me see if I remember. GBM? General Building Maintenance.
Man, you're scared. I don't remember any of that. And I was doing the work.
Yeah, I remember the shirts, and I remember that had in there, right? So with a great person. I don't know if I haven't come in contact. That was my dad's friend. But Monse, I don't know if she was. She went to my wedding.
A lady from Spain. Yeah,
from Spain. I don't know if she's still up and
no
running.
idea.
I have now. We'll look her up. But if you are hearing and watching, we appreciate everything you did for our family. But from seeing the change to that to then wearing suits and then jackets, and then the biggest thing is one day. Let me see. Let's talk about cars now. Let's talk about cars because you had. Let me see. Red Mustang.
The Red Mustang convertible.
That was his first
That was my first nice car. Yeah.
There was another car that used to take us to school in. I don't remember what a Sapporo. I don't even know if that brand even exists.
That was my first car. So my first car when you guys just first came in.
What is a Sapporo?
We don't know. It was actually. We went to the subasta, to the auction, and I have $500. That was my first car, and the salesperson or whatever, dude, there's nothing for $500 even then. And then they brought this car that wasn't running, and I was with some friends from church, and the car wasn't running. And then they go, 100, 150, 100, 300. Nobody was 400. Somebody said 450, and the guy said, dude, that's the only thing you're going to get. Get it. I'm like, okay, 500. So I got the car. We fixed it. It was tough because we didn't know what parts to get because it didn't have a brand. It was like, it was so old and so beat up.
Was it from the 80s or the 70s, 80s?
It was old in the 80s. So I'm from the 70s or something. It had no plate. I mean, it was just, but that was my first car, $500.
Yeah, and I remember taking us to school. Then the Mustang. What was your first car, Lily?
Oh my gosh. I think I got just like a rebound from my brother. But I remember I had like a police thing inside, so I would just play that like the
the sirens?
around, yeah, and like going around town.
Hater first car?
Honda. I don't know if there's that model here, but Honda City.
City?
Yeah, it's like
not Civic.
No.
City.
Yeah.
CITL?
I was in Brazil or here?
Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably a special model for Brazil.
Mine was a Honda Civic, 1991 Honda Civic. No airbags. That's the only thing I remember because all the cars had airbags. My car never had airbags, so I had to be careful. Right? So Mustang convertible.
Notice everybody knew the brand of their car, their first car. My car had no brand.
Mustang convertible, right? Mustang convertible.
Then I had a Mustang convertible, red Mustang convertible with white interior. Yeah, I love that.
Where's convertible? So I think from there, I could be wrong, but from there, as I was seeing the journey of the evolution of going from cleaning to now as professional, he was driving the Mustang. I would see him go to work in his suit and tie. To then one day after he bought his house, I was probably 15, 16 years old in 97, 98. He just pulled up in this sports car, it was brand new. Obviously, he didn't tell us anything. He just pulled my parents' house.
The black one, right?
I'll tell you the brand right now. Our parents' house was in the corner, and then he was in a cul-de-sac. So as I'm like probably just walking, because we used to walk a lot from school to the house, he just pulls up in this like brand new sports car, and I'm like, what? I thought it was a rental or I don't know what it was. But he said, "Hey, what's up?" And I go, "Hey, is this yes, a new car?" It was a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
No.
No, not an Eclipse?
No.
It's a Mitsubishi.
A nicer one.
The Mitsubishi something.
Yes, pull it up.
It wasn't the Eclipse? I don't know.
No. The Eclipse was nice, but no, this was the one that was a really. And the funny thing is, I went. I don't know if you remember, but I went to buy it the day of a hurricane.
So it was
the hurricane was coming. Like they announced hurricane is coming on Friday. I went like Friday morning, and they were open, and they wanted a sale, so I got a hell of a deal in the middle of the hurricane. It was a Mitsubishi. It wasn't an Eclipse. It was.
Can you find it?
They don't make them anymore.
No idea. Jared, I have no idea. That was
I'll remember.
It was 97, 98, something like that. 97, 98. 97, 98. So boom, in there. And then the big breakthrough came. He opened up his own company to sell long distance. Mm-hmm. But then the gem was I don't know how you got into it, but then it was a cell phone boom, 1998, 99. And then what happened?
So I wasn't working in my house, by the way, kind of crazy, but keeping the same schedule and everything. I would literally clock in at 9, clock out at 6. I was alone in my house. I didn't have to clock in around. But I kept the same habits, right? The same schedule as if I was working. As I figure, if I was that disciplined working for somebody else, I have to do it for me.
Got it. 3000 GT.
3000 GT. Not the Eclipse. Look it up. Big difference.
Mitsubishi 3000 GT for all my car people.
GT. That's right.
If you had one, please comment below. All right.
Oh, man, that's a nice car. Okay, so I was selling long distance to companies, and companies started saying, hey, we love you, Yuri, this and that long distance. We're ordering 10 cell phones for the company. Then another company said, we're ordering 20 cell phones for the company. And I was like, what are cell phones? So at the beginning were the actual car phones.
Car phone.
And then from the car phone, it went to a little baggage
suitcase,
thing,
like
a little suitcase where you would pull like that and talk really proudly, that you were with your suitcase with your phone, mobile phone. And then so I said, man, I mean, that's I need to look into that because everybody's getting these. So I went to back then it was called a company called Aerial, AERIAL. And they were just opening up, and I went to them and kind of like the same thing that I did when I went to the marketing guy and telemarketing place. I said, hey guys, I sell a lot of businesses, and would you consider me selling your cell phones? And they're like, we don't have a program for that. We have a store, we sell them there. I'm like, well, I can sell them. Why not? So same way they said no. Then like I called again, and they said, okay, we'll give you 10 phones. And we'll pay you commissions if you sell them. So I sold like 20 phones in like 3 days. And then I sold another 40 phones, another 50 phones. And their stores were selling like 30 a month. So they're like, who's this crazy little Peruvian kid selling all these phones? So they sat with me, and I said, listen, I just have a lot of people, and I have the niche for the Hispanic market. So, and I asked him, what would it take for me to have my own store? And they said, well, we will help you. If you put your store up, we will help you with the cabinetry, and we will give you 50 phones to start as a consignment. And then if you sell them, we'll give you more and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that was the first time that I applied for the SBA loan. The first time and only time. I need to get another one. And I got a $50,000 SBA loan for that. For me, that was like, $50 million, and I said, hopefully I'll pay it one day,
In the year 2000, 99, 2000, I think it was.
I think that was 2000.
2000, I remember. I was a senior in high school, I was about to graduate, I remember.
And I opened the first store. The managers went there to check, because they're like, what's this guy doing? Is he doing fraud or something? And I advertised it on radio and everything, and we sold over 120 phones that day.
In one day.
In one day.
And
they were like, holy fuck, what is this? So, and then the rest is history. So I opened in 8 years, 36 stores.
36 stores.
In 8 years.
Evolution, right? So I'm a senior in high school. I've seen the evolution, and I'm seeing like, okay, he's saying that we're going to have a store, right? You have a store, and I'm saying...
In OBT in Oak Ridge.
OVT and Lancaster right there, whoever's in the local side, right? Mm-hmm. And again, it was a big thing because back then, not only cell phones were new, but there was nobody selling to the Hispanic market back then. So it was genius. It was genius at the time, that, it was perfect. It was a perfect niche, and it was there. 100 phones that day. I remember, I think I brought you 2 or 3 clients, and you gave me a phone.
Probably.
It was a little tiny Nokia. The little tiny Nokia that was this big.
Oh, the 5190.
The 5190.
That I remember.
82, wow. No, 8290. The 8290 was the small one. If you had an 8290, please comment below. But 5190 was a big one. Yeah. And then the 8290 was this little small one. Yeah. It's a small one, right? So I got my first cell phone because I gave him like 2 or 3. So we got him 2 activations. Joel got my phone too, I remember. And from there, it's just history. Second store, third store, whatever. I graduated high school, started into college. I actually, I was interning in March of Dimes. I was doing a couple things, trying to be a journalist. But I said, you know what? I started actually working with him. I was one of his salespeople in the store. I was a floater, actually. Mm-hmm. I was I
need you to look up a picture of Jeremy at that time.
Okay, it's going up on the screen.
All right, let's go here.
Put it on the screen.
Okay, it'll be on the screen if you find it.
Right here. This what you're seeing is him.
That's me. Yeah, that's me at that time. So
doesn't look like him, does it?
Yeah, no. So I remember that, and I remember seeing the growth. And I remember seeing the growth, 2 stores, 3 stores, going from 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 employees, Orlando, then Tampa, and then the evolution. Again, that Mitsubishi GT turned into a Mercedes C-Class, I think it was.
That was my first Mercedes.
Mercedes C-Class here in Mercedes it was Mercedes of Orlando. Now there's like a couple of them out, right? And
in Winter Park.
Seeing that, like seeing a Mercedes. I kind of knew what a Mercedes was, so I was like, Mercedes. I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's supposed to be an expensive car, and just seeing the evolution to then the peak of it, probably 2003, 2004 was the peak of like what Yuri did, which was
I sold it on 5. Mm-hmm.
Right, 3 or 4. I got married in 2003. I got my first store. I said I want to do a franchise. Well, Gia pushed me to do it. She's like, what are you doing trying to be a journalist? Your brother has the cell phones, just to start doing that. So, we did. And that was so we went to 3 stores, franchise. We were doing, same thing, about 75 activations per store in my stores. I had my employees. That was my first time at 21 years old, having employees, 3-4 employees, running a full accounting and everything. To then the peak of it, 36 stores doing 2,000.
We're doing about between 1,800 to 2,000 activations a month.
A month.
That's a lot for cell phone.
I don't know how much you got paid. This is probably a candid moment here, but I don't know how much you got paid. All I know, I got paid about $500 in activation. Who knows how much you got paid?
No, as a franchisee, you were getting the most. So it was probably about 600. 600 per
Quick
activation.
Math. Here we go. 600 activations times 1,800. What's that math? Here we go. For those of you who are doing that math. So back in the day, cell phone boom, early 2000s, 2001, 2002, 2003. Here we go. Final number, 1,800 times 600. Here we go. What is it, Lele? Tell me.
$1,080,000.
$1 million a month in revenue. A month. So that was the peak of the first, I think, entrepreneurial spurt that you had, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, that was amazing times. As I mentioned, the second store that I opened, I gave it to my gift to my parents. Like 2 years later, actually, I was able to also surprise them for one of their anniversaries. I gave them a Mercedes.
I remember.
My first C-Class, like mine, not mine. I bought one brand new for them. And it was amazing times. Seeing Jeremy obviously grow as an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
And with Gia, by his side, every day. We had, about at that time 130, 140 crazy, wild employees. Like the average age was maybe 21, like from 18 to 24. So you can imagine, it was crazy.
And as the evolution came, the cell phones went from black and white screens to color screens to like the Razor. I don't know if you guys remember the Razor.
Yeah.
To like these now, now
then the BlackBerry.
But we have these phones now. We have iPhones now and all this stuff. But back then, like the tech of the thing, so phones disappeared, accessories disappeared. It was like
that was a peak, and then it started going down because the companies actually started opening more and more corporate stores.
Yeah.
And then they would take basically a lot of our business. And then also they started limit us on the new phone. So it's imagine, like, let's say for example you're a dealer right now for T-Mobile, let's say, and the new iPhone 14 comes out and they have it, but you as a store cannot have it for 3 months. So it was killing us because everybody, no matter how much advertising we would do, people wanted the new phone. So that's when that's why I decided to sell in 2005. But it was a great run. It was 8 years with a lot of fun. That I think a lot of people tell me sometimes that I've hit the American dream twice. Once with that, and then now with real estate. So now obviously I saw Jeremy grow on that as an entrepreneur and everything. So once I sold the stores, we were like, okay, what do we do now?
What do we do? Yeah.
And,
well, let's cheers to the cell phone. Let's cheers to the cell phone.
Oh, that's right.
The cell phone era.
The cell phone era.
for the kids out there.
I'm sure there's people out there that where actually a lot of them are still our friends and that work for us, that now are managers, that they have their own businesses. And a lot of our competitors, actually, one of our biggest competitors, I remember, was Beepers and Phones. And the owner now is super...
We're going to tag him. Tag Beepers and Phones.
Beepers and Phones.
What was the guy's name? I don't even know. Let's throw his name in there.
Oh, my God. He's, man, I saw him like 8 months ago now. I'm going to look him up. He's in Tampa, and we talk all the time
We'll
now.
tag him.
Yeah. People probably asking, what is a beeper?
Beepers. Oh, yeah. These kids won't understand what a beeper is.
No,
like, you have to send me a message to call you. So, but 2005 hits, cell phones out. Obviously saturating the market. Great time to exit because obviously, if you guys don't know, every business is made to sell. So that was an exit strategy, perfect exit strategy. Coming into the real estate side. So just jumping into what real estate was doing on the side was, in early 2000s, we're talking about the boom of real estate as far as what it is. The mortgages are easy to get. It was just going, crazy times, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6. We jumped in action in real estate with mortgages first.
People don't know mortgages first. And then I remember, I don't know if you know this, but I was starting to look at, how to open, and I was with Yanira and starting a new relationship and things like that. And I remember that my dad came to the house, and he's like, so what are you guys going to do? And, Jeremy's also looking, this and that. And I told him, what we were doing about mortgage, about real estate. And I remember he told me, listen, you're never going to have a better partner than Jeremy. You got to talk to Jeremy. And that's when I reach out to Jeremy and say, hey, listen, what do you think about getting into the mortgage and the real estate? And that's how this second chapter of entrepreneurship started.
G-World Properties, that's where we're at. That's where we're Properties. So that was 06. We're going into now 17,
that I remember.
17 years in. Obviously, did mortgages, got into the real estate side. We've had, we got the last couple of years of that boom of real estate before the crash of 2008.
Before the crash,
2008, which we survived, by the way, and we never left the business. We came in, continued it, and then opened up in 2009. Again, great times in the first couple of years with that mortgage side. Great times. The same thing. Lots of opportunities, lots of transactions happening. Lots of investments that we did. Crash happened 2009, which was my son was born in 2009. He was freshly born. We decided to embark into now going back into opening up some more of a retail location. I remember in Kissimmee area with a franchise that was around the area, and then we kind of merged into that. But that I think was a kickstart again to saying we're back in full force in real estate. Not that we ever left, but now this is the fresh new chapter on it. We had an office there in Osceola Parkway in Kissimmee and ran it like that for a couple of years. That franchise kind of dissolved, and then we were stuck with a situation where it was like, what do we do? We actually had about 30, 40 agents at that time, about 30 agents or so. Some of them still with us today. And we had to make a decision to say, what do we take it from here? Do we go back to, do we rebrand? What do we do? And we made the decision to rebrand.
Yeah, we made a decision to rebrand to our name. That's when G-World basically started.
G for Gomez.
G for Gomez.
7th letter of the alphabet.
That's right.
Perfection.
That's right. Absolutely. God's number. And obviously we were joined by our spouses that we wouldn't be as successful as we are, definitely without them. And then it's been a crazy ride, real estate. Very different than cell phones, obviously, than retail. It's a different environment. Ups and downs, like any real estate. Driving the real estate, we were able to, from that Osceola office, going to the Dr. Phillips office. The first Dr. Phillips office we had was maybe like a one-car garage. It was like 200 square feet.
Yeah.
And we were there for like 2 years. It was on top of the stairs with no elevator, so we couldn't like hold the people.
About 1,200 square feet. Yeah.
And then we went to the second office on top of the Bank of America, and we were there for like 3 years. And that one had 3,000?
Yeah, about 35. Yeah, 5 years, 2015 to 2020.
3,000 square feet, 3,500 square feet. And then we made the jump to where we are, which is 10,000 square feet here in on the Metro West Dr. Phillips area. So as you can see, businesses take time. Businesses take time to evolve. And many years, we're talking this in 30 minutes. 20 years, and we're talking about
it's 20 years worth of evolutions.
Yes.
Yeah, and now that we're into a different stage, I'm in my 40s now. You're in your 50s.
51.
51. So so 12. Yeah, it's.
I got 50 more to go. I'm just getting started.
No, you're 52.
Am I? Well, what year is it now? Wait.
22.
I'm 52. Please correct.
Please correct. All right.
3,000 GT and I'm 52 years old.
52 years
two
old.
new things I got from me today. Yeah, I'm 52. Yeah, I'm turning 53 next year.
53. I'm 41. It's 12 years apart.
Good whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah, what was about? Okay, so what are your ages? Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. Ages.
I'm 95, from the year 95, 27.
27 and?
28.
And 28. So,
yeah.
We understand. So hopefully all this stuff makes sense to you guys. You know what I mean? But yeah, so 95, you were just born and he was already
I was cleaning offices when you were born.
Exactly. Absolutely. You're 95 too? No.
94.
94.
Yeah.
Actually, 94. 94 is crazy time. So now that we're so far into our obviously business, personal lives. I'm in my 40s. You're in your 50s. Our brother Joel's in his going into his mid 40s. Definitely perspective changes a lot. And perspective changes into what is important in life, what are priorities in life. Obviously now we have you have fully grown kids now that are out of the house in college, etc. I still have a 13, a 4-year-old, 4 going on 24 probably, because she rules the house. But perspective changes on what your priorities are and what needs to be important now in life. So I know my focus changed, probably in the early 30s to now say, straight business. It's straight business. I need to just focus on straight business, and I need to change the way I dress. I need to change the way I look, and I need to focus on straight business. I know when we started the business, I was still kind of chilling out with my American Eagle polos, popping the collar. And yeah, that's what it was. But it was fun. It was fun times. But when it came down to saying, after the crash, need to get down to business, that's when it started changing. I don't know if you remember that transition of mine.
Yeah.
Spiky hair and highlights. The frosted tips.
Another picture.
To, experiencing success, to a crash of a market in 2008, a birth of a child, my firstborn in 2009, and saying, I need to make this change. So that's when I changed spiky hair to what you kind of see today. Look at this. Okay. To actually wearing suits and wearing, jackets, changing my attire, and now actually taking really in consideration the role that I had in managing people. Because now we were into, the early 2010s, into managing people, 20, 30, 40, 50 realtors. I had to give meetings. And I remember he told me, he's like, I need you to now, when I got my broker's license, because we did hire a broker for a little bit of time. And when I got my broker's license, he's like, you need to start doing the meetings. He pushed me into doing the meetings. They need to start knowing who you are in this company. I'm going to, kind of step down a little bit, start doing the meetings. And that's what I did. So that's why I had to change a little bit of everything that I had. But that was the start of a leadership that I think, to today, evolution of what we've done. Fast forward now to 2020, 2021. We have growth spurts from the small little office in Dr. Phillips to then the bigger office in Dr. Phillips, 3,000 square feet. Went from 25 agents to about 80 agents, and then jumping into this big monster of a building, 10,000 square feet, to having 100 plus agents, 5 locations nationwide in Florida. It was a big step. And that was 2019, and it took a little bit of a wake-up call of somebody telling us that, or somebody really taking something or doing a change in our business for us to, and go back to episode 11, because Gia does mention it in actual detail, which I was surprised for her to say. Yeah, she does. But, to now, understanding that we needed that push from going from one location in 2019 right before COVID to then jump into 5 locations mid-COVID into where we are today. It's big, lots of things to growth spurts to do. Obviously, we don't always agree on everything.
What is the secret to work with a sibling and just build such an empire like you guys have done to this date?
I think that obviously the trust is there, which is good, right? Because when you're it's a partnership. So when you are partnering with somebody, you have to have that trust, sibling or no sibling. The difference when you're with a sibling or any family member for that matter, it could be your wife, that is your partner, whatever. I think that you must have exact clear roles of what is the responsibility of each person, so that you can hold accountable the other person, and the other person doesn't feel like you are beating them up or you're nagging them. Is that having a business meeting? We literally have business meetings. A lot of people think that we just, we agree on everything, and no, and many times we don't agree at all, and we get mad, and people leave the room, and let's not get into all of that. But so it's tough, but the trust is always there, that we have the best interest in our hearts for each other. But like any business, and business have up and downs, and there's finances involved. But I think, to me, it's having that clear responsibility of each person. So if we know that you have to do this, and this, I'm responsible for this, and that, then we just both run, and we're empowered to grow in those areas, and we hold each other accountable. A lot of people, get into a partnership, and because their families, let's do everything together. And then the fight starts because I thought you were doing that. No, you're supposed to do it. No, but I'm better than you. No, but you're better than me.
Yeah.
And it's a constant, fight. I think that's one of the main things.
And then I think it's very important, especially whoever's listening or watching, is, we even have job descriptions. We have, you're supposed to be doing this, and that. Like the four of us, it's two of us, obviously, and our wives. And we have job descriptions like, Jeremy does this, Yuri does this, Yanira does this, Gia does this. So we know what we're accountable for. And if we didn't have that, I think it would be a mess completely. So it's understanding and putting in black and white exactly what your role is in the partnership, because yes, we'll, as soon as we step into, for me, as long as we step into Monday to Friday or into this building, we know it's all business, and that's what matters. Okay. We're dealing with people, we're dealing with, different personalities, we're dealing with employees, we're dealing with agents, we're dealing with, locations, we're dealing with landlords, we're dealing with vendors, all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. End of the day, there's one goal, and it's to push the company through and have the best interest of the company. And as long as we all understand that, I think it's good. And then definitely the trust factor is very, very important. If we are able to trust, a complete stranger and call him your partner, why not, if it works, your family, your blood, right? So that's really where it comes, where that trust factor is very, very important. You know what I mean? That I know that everything is there. I know that, regardless of the conflicts and the disagreements, end of day, we all come back, and we know that the focus is always there, So I think that's very, very important.
Awesome.
The purpose is still the same. Anything in sales, you're solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So in the cell phones, you're solving a problem of communication. In the homes, you're solving a problem of either it's their own legacy, it's their American dream, they want something for themselves, or they want a bigger space, smaller space, investment, whatever. So as long as, again, service the client, the purpose is still the same. Product changes, it could change. We've sold everything from, phones to houses to now different mortgages, podcasts, all sorts of stuff.
Real estate.
Yeah, real estate, all sorts of stuff. But it's the same: solving a problem, helping somebody get to that next step into whatever they're trying to do. And if they see the value, they're gonna take out their credit card, take out their cash, and pay for it, or whatever it is, right? So it's always still the same. So craziest business story that you had experienced, or that you had to deal with, rather. I don't know if you walked in or you had to actually.
You mean like employees, or you mean like?
Yeah. Employees. Oh. Here we go. So craziest business story as a boss or an entrepreneur. In the company. It could be in the cell phones. It could be in the real estate. I think the cell phones were real crazy, but so you can get pretty explicit because obviously we're uncensored here. The craziest business story. I want to hear it.
Well. I have a lot, but
the craziest one.
The craziest one. Okay, the craziest one. So we're in a store. We're gonna omit the names. These poor guys. They still exist and follow me. So
we'll omit the names to protect the innocent.
They're probably married now. So I gotta get them in trouble. But one of my stores. So we had cell phone stores, all over in the malls, and also retail stores like in let's say strip centers, Publix and stuff like that. I had a manager to oversee the wild people that we have selling stores. So the manager comes in, opens the door, and it opens the door, and the store is open. The lights are on. The cell phones are there.
I think I know this. I think I know where this is going. I remember the story actually.
And there's several similar, but so this one, and then he starts hearing, this sounds in the back.
Sounds in the back.
There's sounds in the back.
Can you guess what's happening?
So he starts,
Can you guys guess what's happening? Okay.
So he starts going, hey, hello. Oof, I almost said his name. Let's call him. I don't know.
John.
Mike.
John. Let's call him John.
John. We never had a John.
John. Let's call him John. And then he comes out, basically with his underwear here, okay, and his pants down his ankles, and his first words out of his mouth is, "It's not what it looks like."
Okay, so that's the story.
That's what
it's not what it looks
says.
like. It's not what it looks like.
It's not what it looks like, boss.
Hey, I have an explanation for this.
And then he goes to the back, and obviously there's a girl in the back. Okay, so that was his girlfriend apparently. Thank God it wasn't a client or something. It was his, I mean, you would think if you're gonna do that, first lock the door in the front. Maybe because they were really greedy salespeople. They're like, I could do this, but then if a sales comes in, I can also go and sell. But the thing is, yeah. So obviously we fired him, etc. But that was maybe one of the crazy ones. But we used to find people stealing all the time, also.
But it came to the point. Talking about stealing for a second in a retail center, but it came to the point where I think the concept of somebody actually producing sales for an organization, and it's just like, okay, is the stealing portion of that person enough, or is the sale production enough to cover the portion that they steal? You know what I mean? I think that's what you told me that one time. As long as the production is up, they can steal a couple of accessories, no problem at all.
I guess we can say this now that the business is, been gone for a while. But yeah, sometimes we will find people, obviously not a gracious thing, but we'll have people that, let's say, we're selling, 30, 40 phones a month, right? So we're making us a lot of money. And then we will find through audits that, let's say, for example, on the phone, instead of charging for the car charger and the cover, that's the two things that you would always sell with a cell phone.
Leather cover, car charger.
The leather cover and the car charger. They didn't come with the phone. They would give it for free because it was a pretty girl. Maybe they won the number, right? Mm-hmm. So it was stealing, because I was paying for it, right? So through audits, that will come out and they would say, oh my God, this guy, he gave, but my cost on a car charger was like $1.50, and the cost for the leather thing was like $2. And the guy was making me like, $18,000 a month. I'm like, it's all right, don't worry about it. And my auditors were like, boss, they are still. I'm like, man, he's still making me money. But there will be obviously other ones where they would just steal phones and things like that, and obviously we couldn't put up with that.
And in retail, it's not the matter of if they steal, they're gonna steal. Just control it to a portion of where it's not gonna affect you.
You're picking your struggles.
Especially you have a big organization. We're talking about 100 employees, 100 like literally average 20, 22-year-olds.
36 stores
in Orlando, in Tampa. People making a pretty decent amount of money because back then, with spiffs and all this stuff. I mean, there were people making some pretty decent money out there.
Yeah, there were kids that we would take from minimum wage, and they were making $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month. Back then, that was
amazing, right?
Kids. I mean, 19, 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
It was funny. Like several times, like let's say I was on a mall, and the store in the middle, the mall was full. I mean, we could be selling empty, right? I'm standing at the store, and let's say inside the Millennium Mall or the Florida Mall. I had two in the Florida Mall. Standing in the store, I will call the guy. Hey, man, so how's it going today? And he's, oh, boss, we're here. We're right now with 3 clients. We're doing amazing. The most, really? Okay. So is it you alone or is it, yeah. It's me alone. The other guy is coming at 2. And like, but are you at the store right now? Because I wanted to call you over there to check if you have this type of. Yeah, I'm here with 2 clients right now. I'm standing there. Nobody's there.
Let's go.
Hey, motherfucker, I'm at the store.
Right.
Oh, boss, no, you don't understand. I had to come out for a smoke, but oh my god, we'll just catch him in so many lies, man.
So many crazy parts of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're ending with this crazy story with me, I guess.
Okay, crazy story with you, period. So
you're personal, it doesn't matter.
So I don't remember if it was your birthday. I would be really amazed if you remember because you were fucked up.
Really?
So
very rare sign.
For some of you that don't know Jeremy, he loves let's say how do we say it? Turning the party on, let's say.
Nah.
And
have you experienced this, guys?
All the time.
Last week. No,
Last
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Dude, it's Tuesday, man. Okay, so we were coming out of the club. I rented a limo. It was 4 of us, and he comes out and he's like, no, I'm good, this and that. And Gia is like, Jeremy, you're drunk. Let's walk somewhere, and let's for you to eat or something, because we were like in one of these clubs that there was other businesses around.
In Orlando.
In Orlando.
Okay.
So no, I'm good. This
Can't
and that.
remember.
So he gets into the limo, and he starts going like this. We're like, oh shit. And the guy in the front, he tells me,
the driver.
We cannot, nobody can puke in here or whatever. I'm like, bro, we're solid. We're
solid. I'm always solid.
Okay. So he proceeds to open the sunroof. And comes out of the sunroof, starts screaming on the sunroof. Okay.
I don't remember this.
He starts, Gia will remember. He starts screaming on the sunroof. Okay. Then he goes down, and obviously his was his birthday, so brand new, really expensive shirt. And then Gia says, "Listen, you're gonna puke, and this is your brand new shirt, and I'll have paid like $400 for the shirt." So take your shirt off so that you don't get a puke or whatever. I think you're gonna do bad. So he takes his shirt off, then takes his whole half a body off the limo, okay, and start doing that with his shirt. We're like in the I-4, and the shirt flew out. We cannot stop, okay? And he's like, Jeremy, the shirt. Jeremy's like, fuck everybody. So he goes in and he's like, no, I got it in my system. I think I'm going to be, and starts puking all over the limo. I closed the window of the guy, but the guy obviously noticed it. So I started seeing how many hundreds I have in cash. I'm like, I don't have to give this guy probably $300-400 cash to clean the freaking limo. He puked everywhere. So then when people puke, that then it makes you puke because of the smell of the puke, and you can't get out of the car. So it was a tough ride all the way over there. Then we took him out, and then Gia, of course, was pissed at him, and I had to give the guy, I just went to him. I didn't say nothing. I just went to him getting $300 cash. I'm like, dude, clean it up, bro.
I remember what event it was. I remember I was wearing cowboy boots. It was black cowboy boots.
So let's say that was one of them. That's been crazier, but let's keep it PG-13 here. But
we'll go back to it.
Yeah.
But all in all, it's been an amazing ride. Obviously, 17 years in business together. Definitely, we have a long way to go. I think we have a long way to go, and we're just getting started. I think it's just getting started. Definitely, the gray hairs are coming in. We're getting older, but all in all, I think the focus is still there. Building this empire, building it together, and making it happen, whatever it is, right? So shaking everything off, conflicts, fights, whatever. I think end of day is being together and building this together as a legacy for our family. The Gomez family has been a crazy and amazing ride.
I think so, and I think we've looked at the last 30 years. I think also the next 12 months are going to be amazing. I think that we are right now positioned well for our next growth spurt, like you say.
Yeah.
I think we're making some huge decisions that we cannot announce yet, that are gonna, I think, create the next chapter and the next wave and pour more gasoline into the fire that we've created. So I think that, like you said, we're just getting started, and you're, on your 40s, I'm on the 50s, but I feel the same that I was in my 30s. When I was 30, people say, oh my God, 50, that's old. I feel the same. My body doesn't feel the same.
Yes, please.
My knees hurt for no apparent reason. You wake up in the morning and my back is hurting, and I've been laying for 8 hours. I mean, crazy shit like that, but I think mentally and everything, I think that, for all the 50, 60-year-olds out there, you still have the opportunity to continue to grow, maybe create something with your family, and you still have, plenty of time to make it happen.
Absolutely. And we look forward to all the memories and more business and crazy stories, because this is what we do, right? And again, I appreciate you coming in. I think we went over a little bit of time, but we'll take care of it somehow. But again, guys, I appreciate Yuri Gomez, the Real Estate Entrepreneur. Follow him on all his channels, which are right here on the screen, or find him, Yuri Gomez, the Real Estate Entrepreneur, on everywhere: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. And we will continue this ride into season 2 of the 200% podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers, brother. Love you. To the next 20 years.
Let's go. Thank you. Rate, subscribe. See you on the next one. Love you guys. 200% Life podcast.